Good morning, netizens! It's 9:15 in the morning, Tuesday, May 3, 2022. This is Jujuline Flores and you are watching CDE Daily Breaking News. For today's breaking news, we are going to talk about the new and emerging literary forms in the 21st century. As we all know, there are 13 emergent genres of literature that we are already aware of. The following are creative nonfiction, hyperpoetry, chic literature, illustrated novels, graphic novels, TikTok novels, manga, digifiction, doodle fiction, flash fiction, six-word flash fiction, science fiction, and vlog. And it does not end there. Since literature is diverse, people are always looking for new ways to express themselves. New styles appear, being influenced by existing genres and serving as an inspiration for future generations of writers. This course explores genres across literature and new media which emerged in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Throughout the quarter, we will turn to genres that follow postmodernism, a now standard category that describes literary experiments that unfolded in the years following World War II. The new genres that will concern us include cyberpunk fiction, steampunk, the new weird, the post-ironic novel, long arc serial television, art games, electronic literature, interactive fiction, and autobiographical comics. Cyberpunk. It is a science fiction subgenre characterized by countercultural anti-heroes trapped in a dehumanized high-tech future. The word cyberpunk was coined by writer Bruce Bethke, who wrote a story with the title in 1982. He derived the term from the word cybernetics, meaning the science of replacing human functions with computerized ones, and punk, the cacophonous music and the holistic sensibility that developed in the youth culture during the 1970s and 80s. Steampunk. It is a subgenre of speculative fiction, usually set in an anachronistic Victorian or quasi-Victorian alternate history setting. It could be described by the slogan, "What the past would look like if the future had happened sooner." The term denotes work set in an era or world where steam power is still widely used, usually the 19th century and often set in Victorian-era England, but with prominent elements of either science fiction or fantasy. The new weird. It is a literary genre that emerged in the 1990s through early 2000s with characteristics of weird fiction and other speculative fiction subgenres. M. John Harrison is credited with creating the term new weird in the introduction to The Tane in 2002. The writers involved are mostly novelists who are considered to be part of the horror or speculative fiction genres, but who often cross genre boundaries. Notable authors include K.J. Bishop, Paul DeFilippo, M. John Harrison, Jeffrey Ford, Storm Constantine, and Conrad Williams, among others. In literature, post-irony generally refers to a return to sincerity when the author or character was previously speaking ironically or sarcastically. Some kinds of post-irony literary refer to a change of heart on the part of the author or character. Other kinds of post-irony refer to previously written works that were ironic in their time but are no longer considered as such. A third version of this literary device refers to a moment in which a character or author is both being ironic and sincere at the same time. The last use of this device is often done accidentally, as it is often difficult to combine sarcasm and sincerity on purpose without sounding contrived. A story arc, or also known as a narrative arc, it is an extended or continuing storyline in episodic storytelling media such as television, comic books, comic strips, board games, video games, and films, with each episode following a dramatic arc. In a television program, for example, the story would unfold over many episodes. In television, the use of a story arc is much more common in comedies, especially in soap operas. In a traditional Hollywood film, the story arc usually follows a 3-act format. Web comics are more likely to use story arcs than newspaper comics, as most web comics have readable archives online that a newcomer to the strip can read in order to understand what is going on. Although story arcs have existed for decades, the term story act was coined in 1988 in relation to the television series Wise Guy and was quickly adapted for other uses. An art game or art house game is a work of interactive new media digital software art, as well as a member of the art game subgenre of the series video game. The term art game was first used academically in 2002, and it has come to be understood as describing a video game designed to emphasize art or whose structure is intended to produce some kind of reaction in its audience. Art games are interactive, usually competitive against the computer, self, or other players, and the result of artistic intent, with a party offering the piece for consideration. They also typically go out of their way to have a unique and conventional look, often standing out for aesthetic beauty or complexity in design. The concept has been extended by some art theorists to the realm of modified gaming, with modifications have been made to existing non-art games to produce graphic results intended to be viewed as an artistic display, as opposed to modifications intended to change gameplay scenarios or for storytelling. Modified games created for artistic purposes are sometimes referred to as video game art. Art games are often considered a means of demonstrating video games as works of art. Electronic literature or digital literature. It is a genre of literature encompassing works created exclusively on and for digital devices, such as computers, tablets, and mobile phones. A work of electronic literature can be defined as a construction whose literary aesthetics emerge from computation. Work that could only exist in the space for which it was developed or written, coded the digital space. This means that these writings cannot be easily printed or cannot be printed at all, because elements crucial to the text are unable to be carried over onto printed version. The digital literature world continues to innovate print conventions, all the while challenging boundaries between digitized literature and electronic literature. Some novels are exclusive to tablets and smartphones for the simple fact that they require touchscreen. Digital literature tends to require a user to traverse through the literature through the digital setting, making the use of the medium part of the literary exchange. Interactive fiction, or often abbreviated IF, is software simulating environments in which players use text commands to control characters and influence the environment. Works in this form can be understood as literary narratives, either in the form of interactive narratives or interactive narrations. These works can also be understood as a form of video game, either in the form of an adventure game or role-playing game. The autobiographical comics. It is a genre that provides fascinating new opportunities and challenges for both comics artists and autobiographers. On the one hand, the creators of autobiographical comics, who come from a wide range of backgrounds, often disregard established norms and conventions and invent new narrative techniques. For this reason, the examination of autobiographical comics allows us to rethink preconceived notions about the nature of the medium and to explore the many resources for creating meaning available to comics artists. On the other hand, autobiography has been greatly enriched by drawing on the social-cultural traditions and formal features of comics, which offer new possibilities. Writing requires specific language skills. It allows students and writers to learn more about the different styles and techniques to be appropriate in various forms of writing. Once students and writers recognize the different genres of written literature, they can easily and quickly adjust to the writing practices and styles as required by the types of writing. In other words, they can integrate suitable language forms, whether formal or informal expressions and language forms. All these forms and genres of written literature hold some specific formats, forms, requirements, and styles. Consequently, students and writers need to have literature literacy to understand the different types of writing. More importantly, students and writers must be familiar with the forms and genres of literature to understand the corpuses of different genres and to select the proper formats, forms, and styles. Again, this is Jujilyn Flores, CDE Daily Breaking News.